Thank you for turning to page 121. Welcome back to page 121. Today we're going to talk about yet another Traveller magazine. There were a lot of them. There still are, actually. This was the Traveller's Digest by Digest Group Publications. This was a really good magazine. Digest Group Publications is going to get their own video, their own topic, because they put out some excellent quality material between about 1986 to about 1993. Today I'm just going to touch on the magazine by them and even the unique idea that propelled this magazine. So the Traveler's Digest, as I said, was published from late 85 to arguably 93 because it morphed just like Challenge. JTAS did into Challenge. Traveler's Digest turned into the Megatraveller Journal. Traveler's Digest started in what is now known as Classic Traveller or just Traveller as a pamphlet-sized offering for the first 8 issues, and then it went to magazine size. Magazine size offered all kinds of benefits and space and stuff they could publish. So I'm going to go through a little bit of the history of the magazine and show a couple of examples and what made this magazine unique among all the Traveller magazines. Okay, this is Traveler's Digest issue number 9. It's the first issue that was a full magazine size. I want to show it compared to the pamphlet size. As everybody remembers, the original classic stuff was published as the LBBs, or Little Black Books. They were all pamphlet size. The original box set was a pamphlet-sized box set. So it was common for Traveller items to just be published in this format. It helped on cost, but unfortunately it also limited what you could put in the issue. So several of the products did move on and become full-size magazines. Traveler's Digest, I only have 2 of the original 8 of the pamphlet-sized books. These others are hard to find and or prohibitively expensive. Back in the 80s, this did not see a very wide distribution, at least not in hobby stores I was haunting at the time. So I really never came across these in the wild, and I've never really been able to afford them when they're rarely available online. Starting with issue 9, though, distribution was better, and you were able to get your hands on them. What was unique about Traveler's Digest is the magazine existed within the Traveller universe. They ran a contest, a journalist contest, in 1098 for to win an opportunity to tour the Imperium. So I'm going to jump over to here a little bit and talk about this book, The Early Adventures. Background adventures from Traveler's Digest issues 1 through 4. This was offered by Digest Group Publications and was for Megatraveller. So what they did is the initial 4 adventures for the Traveler's Digest were written for Classic Traveller, and they went ahead and they published this book as an update with the characters and all the stats being updated to the Megatraveller background. So just another of the innovations that Digest Group Publications was doing at the time. The idea of the Grand Tour was that each issue of Traveler's Digest would feature 4 characters who were on the Grand Tour, touring all around the Imperium. So the fun part of this was you got to see huge chunks of the Imperium, and then each issue would feature an adventure with these 4 characters. The 4 characters were Akita Laguerre. He was a journalist. He's the one that won the Traveler's Digest Touring Award, and he won it in 1099. His nephew, Der Telemann, was in the Scouts and decided to accompany his uncle because why not? It's paid. And early on in the adventures, we find out that Der Telemann, the Scout, had helped save the life of a famed robotics expert, Dr. Theodor Krenstein. So Dr. Theodor Krenstein says, well, I'll go on the journal too, or on the journey also. So the idea is that these 3-player characters are on the Grand Tour, funded through the prize that was won by Akita Laguerre. And along with Dr. Krenstein comes his valet, A.B. Wan Owen. He's really an android, designation AB-101. He was a robot made by Dr. Krenstein, android, and was basically Dr. Krenstein's personal bodyguard. So you have 4 characters here. You have a journalist, a scout, a robotics expert, and a robot for good role-playing opportunities. So each issue would feature an adventure with these 4 characters, and then would feature some background information on the part of the Imperium they were in. So if you had all 21 issues of this, you had a very long adventure arc featuring these 4 characters and other characters that they met along the way. In addition to all of this linked goodness, you had some excellent information for just Traveller itself. Here we meet in this issue, Death of an Emperor, the New Era Begins. This was the beginning of the Megatraveller. You get the crack troops of the Emperor's Guard, capital of the 11,000 worlds. They actually make it to capital in this issue. And how to deal with nobility. You have an adventure where they actually go before the Iridium throne. So it was really clever that they had this super saga arc going on within the 21 issues of this book. I would love to get my hands on the others, but more on that in a minute. I'm just going to show a couple of issues. I do have from issue 8 up through issue 21. It was published, issues 1 through 21, from 1985 to approximately 1992. And then it turned into the Megatraveller Journal, which I'll show issue number 1 of. And this was published through 1993. So I'm going to show a couple of magazines, go into a little bit of what they had, and why Megatraveller Journal number 4 is especially significant. So, okay, the issue pictured here is issue 17 of the Traveller's Digest, where they go to Kusyu, the Aslan homeworld. There's a spoiler coming up about the Aslan, but since this is over 30 years old, I'm going to go ahead and say it. If you don't want to find out about this spoiler, you might want to skip ahead until I change the magazine again. Okay, here's the spoiler. The Aslan are not one of the major races. In Traveller, the major races are generally thought to be the races that invented jump drive on their own. They are the Droin, humanity, the Aslan, the Vargir, the Hivers, and the Kikri. Those are regarded as the 6 major races. Generally, they are regarded as that, again, as I said, because they invented on their own jump drive. There are other things that make them major races, not the least of which is their current empire size, that sort of thing. But that was always a basic part of Traveller, was that they were major races. Well, in this one, we find out Kusyu, on the Aslan homeworld, we find out that the Aslan actually reverse engineered their jump drive of a crashed vessel. Thus, they did not actually invent their own jump drive. Thus, they're technically not one of the major races. Fortunately, the other elements of the major race designation come out, and they're still a major race. But it was kind of a fun tease here that we found out that one of the major races actually reverse engineered the jump drive, didn't invent it on their own. So that was pretty neat. Again, one of the innovative things they did in Traveller's Digest. I have no idea if that was always planned for one of the major races or if this is something they innovated here. To my suggestion, no pun intended, it was this issue of Traveller's Digest that introduced me to the concept. Now here's issue 21, the Grand Tour conclusion, where they had started in the Spinward Marches. They had toured around Capital and down through Kusyu, through the Great Rift, and then back up into the Marches. Here we have our intrepid adventurers exiting the ship as they finish their years-long journey. I'm not really doing a video on these 4 characters. I could down the line. If there's any interest, please let me know. I just wanted to show what was the neat thing about the Traveller's Digest with this overarching story. The other material included in this magazine was excellent. Even if you don't like the Megatraveller era, which I understand a lot of people don't, and I get the reasons why, just pulling material out of here and using it in Classic Traveller, which is what I did for the most part, there's a great amount of just really good information. Here we have an article right there, Low Berths in Megatraveller. Low berths are where you travel frozen, a la the Alien movies, where they travel frozen so they don't go crazy, they don't age, they don't need to use as much food. But in Traveller, the low berth is something of an iffy thing. It gives rise to one of the cooler elements of Traveller, the low lottery, where the ship's crew bet how many people will die during the journey as they come out of the low hibernation. So low lottery is one of the things that actually attracted me to Traveller in the first place. When I started playing it with my buddy, he explained the low lottery to me, and I was hooked from that moment on. So this is the grand tour conclusion of the overarching story. And then we went to the Megatraveller Journal. So the idea here, that's issue 2 I've put up there. I already showed issue 1. And this, it becomes more like a gaming resource magazine for Megatraveller. And this only went, unfortunately, 4 issues, because that was also around the time that Game Designers Workshop was having some financial issues and were folding. So this went through 93. It was also, well, this is before they were having financial issues as such, although it was kind of in there. This was also, Megatraveller was ending in 93, and our good friend The New Era was coming out. I am going to do a video on The New Era, so everybody get all your wrath and acrimony out now, vent your spleens now, because when I put it out, I'm just going to put it out for what it is. Okay, now I'm going to show issue number 3, and the only reason I'm showing this is I like this cover. That's just neat. They're strapped to a meteor for a clandestine landing in battle armor. It's just, talk about capturing your imagination. And now I'm going to get to issue 4 and why this was so significant. Issue 4 features the Lords of Thunder. This was a very long adventure that was written by one of the Keith brothers. I want to get the right one. By William H. Keith Jr. This thing is 70 pages long and goes into a lot of information about Gateway and the Kukri as a race and who the Lords of Thunder are. We find out, again, spoils. If you don't want to hear spoils, you might want to stop the video at this point. We find out that the Lords of Thunder are a militant branch of the Kukri who are trying to eliminate all carnivores in the galaxy, since the Kukri are herbivores and are absolutely disgusted by the presence of meat on the breaths of their fellow travelers, and are a very gregarious herd animal. Some of the more militant ones form up the Lords of Thunder and want to eliminate meat eaters from the galaxy. It's an excellent adventure, an excellent chunk of background by one of the best writers that Traveller ever saw. Okay, one other thing I want to touch on, and that is going back to this guy. The early adventures. This, as I said, were the adventures from issues 1 through 4 of the Traveller's Digest, rewritten for Megatraveller. I bought this not really realizing that it was just something Megatraveller, so I snapped it up in 88 and was really excited because this gave me an opportunity to read the first 4 adventures. As I said, I'm missing issues 5 and 7, including the original 1 through 4. So I have never read the full story arc, unfortunately. I've read almost all of it, but I'm missing 2 parts. So this was pretty cool too, because it gave you a chance to revisit the first 4 issues, which were even then difficult to find, but it also updated it for Megatraveller. So again, another innovation from Digest group publications. They were, throughout the Megatraveller run, an outstanding resource. Even if you didn't want to use the rebellion that Megatraveller set up, which I really didn't, the information contained in most of their works was just invaluable for other adventures. I am going to do some videos featuring some of the Digest group publications, other products that they offered, and just show why they're such quality, and why I still to this day refer to their stuff probably as much as any other things that I have in my Traveller collection. So that's it for today. Just a quick look at the Traveller's Digest. I hope you liked what you heard. If you did, please comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time on page 121. Well, that closes the book on another episode of page 121. Please leave your comments below, and if you enjoyed what you saw, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.